If you were a kid growing up in the 90s, chances are you heard of Mighty Max. Whether it was from the toys, the cartoon, video games, or other merch, Mighty Max was a big part of a lot of young boys' lives during that era, including myself. In this episode of Universe Retro, we're going to jump straight into the history and craze of the toy line Mighty Max that set off a wave of popularity that reached virtually every form of media. So sit back, relax, let's jump into the world of Mighty Max. Mighty Max started out back in 1992 as a series of toys manufactured by Bluebird Toys in the UK. The toys were very similar to the early girls' toy line Polly Pocket. However, these toys were marketed towards young boys to capitalize on the small pocket-sized toy popularity. In Canada and the USA, they were distributed by Irwin Toy Limited and Mattel. The original toy line consisted mainly of Doom Zones and Horror Heads. Doom Zones were small play sets with a horror theme and featured miniature figures of monsters and our hero, Max, a young boy with blonde hair, jeans, a white t-shirt with a red M on it, and a baseball cap that also had an M on it. The Horror Heads were smaller sized play sets, also shaped like the heads of monsters and containing miniature figures as well. Several larger Mighty Max play sets were released across the years, often being less portable but coming with an increased figure count and more playability. A total of 6 figure sets were released, mainly after the cartoon, to capitalize on the addition and popularity of new cartoon characters. Each set included Max, Norman, who was from the cartoon, and the character Virgil from the cartoon, and they featured various villains and monsters. 2 Mighty Max playsets were released as part of a McDonald's promotion. They're pretty unique in the fact that they're somewhat larger than a Horror Head but smaller than a Doom Zone, and they come with no figures, but instead they each have a unique feature. The 1993 Yeti McDonald's playset had a Max figure that's fixed inside but can be rotated, and a 1995 McDonald's playset that's the Ice Monster playset has a Max decoration that can be moved beneath a transparent surface to impact with 2 spinning Ice Monster decorations. A number of digital watches were also made for the toy line, with a branded strap and an open face that resembled one of the Doom Zones. All the watches are based on a Series 1 Doom Zone and features a radically different strap and packaging. A whole lot of other merchandise related to the toy line was released, and based on the cartoon, all the way from electronic games to backpacks, board games, puzzles, and a whole lot more.
Mighty Max, Mighty Max.
Shortly after the popularity of the Mighty Max toy line in 1992, Mighty Max the Animated Series was released on September 12, 1993. It ran for 2 seasons, with a total of 40 episodes before ending on December 2, 1994. Developed by Mark Zaslov, co-creator of Disney's Tailspin, and distributed by Bobot Communications, the distributor behind such shows as Extreme Dinosaurs, The Mask Animated Series, and Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Mighty Max featured an impressive voice cast, including Robert Paulson, who voiced Raphael and Donatello in the Ninja Turtles cartoon in 1987. Richard Mall, famous for the film House, Scary Movie 2, and more. Tim Curry, famous for Rocky Horror Picture Show, It, and Home Alone 2. The plot for the Mighty Max animated series follows Max, an adventurous boy who receives in the mail a small statue of a fowl, inscribed with Egyptian hieroglyphs, that translates to,
"You have been chosen to be the cat bearer. Go to the mini-mart and wait for a sign, Mighty Max."
Max drops the statue and shatters it, revealing a red baseball cap with a yellow M, which he wears. The cap is capable of opening portals through which Max can teleport. Max teams with several other characters to use the hat and open portals to stop various villains and monsters throughout the show. In all episodes, a short scene preludes the credits, where Max is shown at his desk in his room, where he discusses with the audience some aspect of the episode in an educational way, usually the location where the events took place, the monster fall, etc. Generally, the educational messages at the end of each show were of scientific, historical, or cultural significance. After the series ended in 1994, select episodes of the show were released on VHS. Despite its popularity, the series has never been available on DVD or any digital service. In 1994, The Adventures of Mighty Max was published and released by Ocean Software for the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo Entertainment System. In some releases, the game was packaged with a VHS tape of an episode of the show. Developed by British studio WJS Design, The Adventures of Mighty Max is a side-scrolling action game based on the cartoon series. In the game, the player can control Max, Felix, or Bee, or 2 players can control 2 simultaneously. They travel to different worlds and make use of puzzles to find all the pieces of an ultimate weapon that can be used to defeat the Skullmaster. Appearances by other characters from the series are sparse. Rock monsters appear as enemies in the volcano world, and power-up items can cause Virgil to appear to give a hint, and Norman to temporarily follow the player around and kill stunned enemies. The game generally received a negative reception for lack of connections to the show, stiff controls, and an overly simplistic puzzle design. Despite having a huge fan base and being one of the most popular toy lines of the 90s, there hasn't been any movement on bringing it back. The toys ended manufacture in 1996, and the animated series ended syndication before the end of the 90s. The Mighty Max toy line has gained somewhat of a resurgence in the last few years with toy and nostalgia collectors, bringing back its popularity and in turn introducing a new generation to this awesome brand. Many of the toys can be readily found online, and episodes of the show can be found in their entirety on YouTube if anyone wants to check them out. Right now is a great time to get into Mighty Max or revisit it. Thanks so much for watching this installment of Universe Retro, and as always, in this universe, we keep it retro.